Hi, good day all of you. Welcome to our session. Welcome to our channel, Intelligible Tutorials. In this today's session, I want to say the traits of the big data. So, what is the meaning of the big data? What are the various types of the big data? So, what are the examples of various types of the big data that we are going to see now in this video? So, what is a big data normally? This is a buzzword nowadays. This is used in various kinds of the organizations normally to store the data, to store, manage, and manipulate the vast amounts of the data and at the right speed at right time to gain the right insights. What does it mean? Nowadays the data is increasing in an exponential manner. That means in social media for 1 second million trillions of the data is increasing. So we have to handle such kind of the large amount of the data. We have to do some operations on that operations on such last vast amount of the data at a particular period of the time, a particular right time, and we have to understand particular insights, particular patterns in the data. So it is a large scale. The center process is the large scale. So that's why it is called as big data. Firstly, it is introduced by Rogus Magulus, and how to define the amount of the data. So here, what is the thing happening is what are the traditional methods that we are using? These are not helpful for handling such kind of the vast amount of the data and to handle the complexity in such vast amount of the data. So for that we have to use some new kind of the techniques. For that what they did is they have categorized the data into three different kinds of the forms. So do you understand what is the meaning of the big data? Nowadays in the social media a large amount of the data, the vast amount of the data is producing second by second. So it is a large data. It's not one kind of the data. It is a mixture of the data like picture. So if you take one Facebook post, it is having some picture, some text, and some other kind of the graphics and all it includes. So we can say it's not structured manner. It is a collection of different types of the data, right? So that is one kind of the big data. So and again this big data is categorized into three different kinds of the data. So what are they? Now we are going to see. Okay, so before going to that, we see what are the other types of the other concepts regarding the big data. Big data refers to the huge collections of the data that is unstructured and structured. The primary classification here we need to see is the structured and as well as the unstructured. And this data may be sourced from servers, customer profile information, order and purchase data, financial transactions, ledger, search history, and employee records normally. So where this particular data is sourced from the servers, clouds, customer profile information, order and purchase data on online orders, and financial transactions on banks, and the ledger, search history, and employee records, etc., etc. And it is not at all of one kind. In large companies, this collection is continuously growing with time, and in cloud, it is more increasing. Okay. So next, what are the various types of the big data? This particular big data is divided into three different types. One is the structured data, and another one is unstructured data and semi-structured data. So we are going to talk about the very first one, that is the structured data, and next one is unstructured data, and next one is semi-structured data. And the structured data is again to be divided into two different kinds: machine generated data and human generated data. So what is the structured data? The kind of data that is structured and as well as well defined, and it has a consistent order that can be easily understood by the computer or a human. And this data can be stored, analyzed, and processed using a fixed format. This kind of the data is existing in databases where it neatly stored in columns and rows. That's what about the structured data. That means what? See, if you take an employee database, okay, earlier what happens is if you store the data in the form of a paragraph, the employee record in the form of a paragraph like employee name, employee number, employee salary, like that, if you store the data, so that in such paragraph, can you access it easily? So we cannot access easily if the data is stored in the form of paragraphs. If at all you place the data in the form of a column and row manner, like you divide the first column is for employee number, second column is for employee name, and you segregate the parts of the data into this particular structure like a tabular structure, so it can easily identify where which information where you want, you can easily access it. That means human mind is having the capability of handling rather the imaginary or tabular data rather than the text. Okay, to access data from the text is also a tedious task. So that's why it can be transferred into the tabular format. That is a database. Okay, the rows and columns. Okay, and rows are called the records and columns are called what fields in the database management systems, right? So this kind of the data is called as well placed and well structured data. So the databases is very good example of the structured data, right? The next one is nothing but what are the two sources of this structured data? Number one, machine generated data. Number two, human generated data. So what is machine generated data? Normally, this data is produced by machines such as sensors, network servers, web logs, GPS, etc. etc. For example, the router servers will maintain some kind of the databases and web logs. These are also one kind of databases and GPS also one kind of databases, right? And what are the human generated data? The personal details, employee details, passwords, documents, student details, etc. etc. are human generated data. Okay, a search made by the user, items, browser, online, games played, all are human generated information. Normally we made a search. Okay, search made by the user in the Google, we made a search, and what are the items we browsed in the online, that also will be maintained in the form of a database. And what are the games the user played, everything is the one kind of the structured format, that is a human generated information. Machine generation information means what? Servers maintain some kind of the logs, web logs, and the routers maintain some kind of the information where the packets are moving from routing tables. All these are the example of machine generated data. And personal details and other kind of online games and all human generated data. So these are the very good examples of two sources of structured data, machine generated and as well as human generated. Machine generated means routers, servers, weblogs, etc. Human generated means what? Maintaining certain tables and search information, etc. etc. Now we are going to see what is unstructured data. Unstructured data is not structured well and it is completely of not one kind, and this kind of the data is unorganized and difficult to handle, understand, to analyze. The Instagram post and Facebook post are the very good example of this. You can say tweets, shares, posts and likes on social media. The videos you can watch on YouTube and text messages you send via WhatsApp all are piled up as a huge heap of unstructured data. As I told previously, unstructured data is of not of one kind. It is different way. That means what it indicates is unstructured data. It is having some set of what we say, that is um, Facebook post. If you say, it is having some set of pictures and a post in the form of the text, etc. etc. Right? So such kind of the examples are called as the unstructured data. And what is semi-structured data? Now, the semi-structured data is nothing but it's not structured and it is not unstructured. This may seem unstructured first, but it is not in the form of the structured. The very good example of NoSQL documents and CSV files and your JSON, XML files are the examples of this kind of semi-structured data. So what are the various kinds of the data? Up to now we have seen big data means what? It is a huge collection of the data. We can categorize into structured, unstructured and as well as the semi-structured. And in the structured, it is database management systems. Unstructured, the completely Facebook posts, social media networks, etc. etc. And again, structured is divided into machine generated data and human generated data. And semi structured data is the examples for this are CSV files, JSON and XML files are very good examples. Are it is a combination of structured and as well as the unstructured, simply we can say. So these are the very good examples for this. So these are the various categories of the data. And in the next coming video, we will see what are the various characteristics of the big data. Okay, so if at all you didn't subscribe my channel, please subscribe my channel, Intangible Tutorials. Thank you one and all.